So now that I've labelled or identified the key features that I want to describe, I'm just going to write descriptive sentences about those features that will help me to create a picture of this character. I'm not going to worry about writing a paragraph. I'm just going to focus on individual sentences that are descriptive and that show the reader what you want rather than telling the reader. So, an example, if you were telling the reader, you might write something like this: ferocious, helps if I spell it right there, let's go with fierce. This fierce and monstrous beast has 3 heads. Now, fierce and monstrous is fabulous, and I've described the fact it's got 3 heads, but I'm telling the reader. There's no other way the reader can interpret or infer from this sentence, because you're telling the reader exactly what it is. So I'm going to change it up a bit. As this monstrous beast stands tall, its central head snarls at the slightest hint of danger. Now, I know that this is show not tell because I'm using little clues within the sentence to show the reader that what it is I want them to see. The key word in this is central. If something's in the centre, it's surrounded by something. So the reader at this moment is picturing a head that's got things around it. So as this monstrous beast stands tall, its central head snarls at the slightest hint of danger, whilst its other 2 reinforce it fiercely. So I am telling the reader that it's got 3 heads, but I'm doing it in a way that allows the reader to picture in its mind. It allows it to the reader to guess a little bit at what's going on, or have to read a little bit deeply into it. And I've done that through action. So using verbs like snarls or reinforce. By including those, I'm kind of putting the character in a situation, and I'm not telling a story. So once I've done that, I can get rid of the fact that it's got 3 heads because I've already described that. I can also get rid of the word fierce because I've used that word. I could also get rid of size because I've said that it stands tall. I could do that. So I've got a sentence that's described some of the features of this character. I also need to now describe the fact that it's a dog, it's vicious, and it's got a collar. So, this dog-like creature has a black leather collar clasped around its neck, or let's put thick neck. That is telling the reader. There aren't any clues in this, and there aren't any verbs that describe the dog doing something. There is a verb in there, clasped, but that's telling the reader what the collar is doing. It's not saying what the character is actually doing. So, this dog-like creature stands guard, wearing its black leather collar. I'll even get a relative clause in there, which is clasped around its thick neck, and I'll make it embedded. This dog-like creature stands guard wearing its black leather collar, which is clasped around its neck, waiting for its master. So I am incorporating skills into my writing and into my sentences. So these aren't basic sentences. I'm trying to make sure that I'm still aiming really high and making sure that these sentences are high quality. So I'm thinking about the expanded noun phrases, black leather collar. I'm thinking of the relative clauses, using the word which. I'm thinking of the strong vocabulary like reinforced, monstrous. I'm thinking about the tense that I'm using. I'm thinking about the verbs that I'm using that fit the character. So having watched the video, I know that this character snarls. So it behaves in quite an evil, sinister way. If there's a moment where you're struggling for vocabulary or you're unsure, then perhaps maybe look at the task sheet and look at the second page, because I've just thrown some vocabulary in there that might help us to form some sentences using some vocabulary. As you can see, there's perhaps not that much there, but you might have access to a laptop at home or a dictionary or a phone or something that maybe has access to the internet. And so going on to Google and just typing in synonyms for, and then in this case synonyms for bold, and I can see that coming up on my screen are lots of alternatives that I could use. So there are alternatives that you can use, and if you're struggling, then there are things there that can help you along the way. The important thing is that you are showing the reader by action. So something that the character is doing, you're telling the reader information in a way that allows them to picture it in their mind in their own way, rather than telling them exactly what's happening. So in this task here, label and identify the character's features, just like in the first Keys to Success, which was shown in video 1, where I just simply listed some of the features of that character, and then I'm going to describe each of those. But I'm not going to tell the reader. Simply, I'm going to include some action in there and give those clues for the reader to start picturing in their mind what they want to see.